and welcome to our Failing Forward video series. Let me start out by saying if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to fail a lot. You're going to fail a lot. The question is, what kind of failure is it going to be? Is it going to be what we call good failure or bad failure? By the end of the three videos, you're going to have a good understanding of the difference between the two. More importantly, we're going to teach you how to avoid bad failure and how to become an expert in good failure. Let's take a look. As I mentioned in the intro, chances are, as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail many times before you finally get it right. That's just the nature of innovation. When you're innovating, doing something totally new and different, you're going to fail more often than not, especially during your first few attempts. The question is, what choices will you make when you do fail? Well, let's get into it. If you've watched some of our other videos, you may recall there are two really important things you need to do to be a successful entrepreneur. They are, first, find really important jobs that customers are having a hard time getting done. That's where the opportunity starts. And second, once you've found a really important job that's not getting done, you need to create that wow value proposition, the product or service that gets the job done or solves the problem much better than anything else out there. But entrepreneurs fail, and they fail often, especially at the very beginning of their entrepreneurial journey. I started the video saying we're going to develop a good understanding of the difference between good failure and bad failure. But in this video, I'm going to focus on what we mean by bad failure. What I mean by bad failure is when you wind up creating a new product or service that no one wants to buy. And why in the world would that happen? Because, like most beginning entrepreneurs, you wind up making bad decisions at various steps in the process as you develop your idea. If you want to learn more or get a refresher on the value proposition canvas, please check out Strategizer's video in our digital resource library. When you watch that video, you'll learn that startups and even large established companies that do a lot of new product development often have failure rates of 70, 80, and 90% or more. They spend lots of time and money developing, then marketing, then trying to sell the new product, only to discover it's a total failure. That is what we call bad failure. When you want to create something totally new and different, you need to experiment and take risks. And with that comes failure. This type of experimentation and risk taking is what we call good failure. So let's talk a little bit about failure. What is failure? Think about it a minute. What is it for you? Have you ever failed? I certainly have, thousands of times. How did you feel when you had that failure? What did you do? Did you give up? Were you angry? Frustrated with yourself? Didn't think you could do it? Or did you learn something from what went wrong and use what you learned to try something different? What we choose to do when we fail makes all the difference in successful entrepreneurship and life for that matter. The most important thing to learn from this video is that good failure is not a bad thing. It's a unique opportunity to learn and to grow. But we have to specifically choose the right path. So, why do so many entrepreneurs wind up experiencing major or what we call bad failure? It's actually pretty simple. Entrepreneurs often make things that no one wants to buy. Entrepreneurs often make things that no one wants to buy. And why would they do that? Well, it happens a lot. And here's an example. Why in the world would Colgate, a toothpaste and toothbrush company, make frozen beef lasagna? After I created this slide, I found out that this was not really a true story. But I thought it was such a weird example, I decided to leave it in. I'm sorry if I confused you. Colgate didn't really make frozen beef lasagna. But there are thousands of examples of startups and even big, well established companies that have spent millions of dollars on product failure after product failure. Well, Still wondering why an entrepreneur would make something no one wants to buy? It's actually a very common mistake. They get an idea in their head about a product or service that they think is really cool, and they start building it right away. They spend lots of time and money developing and building what they think is a cool product. And when they finally go out and try to sell it, they discover that no one else thinks it's a great idea. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but maybe a few people may buy it, but not enough to build a business around. This is probably the single biggest reason entrepreneurs experience what we call bad failure. So let's finish up this video with starting to understand why entrepreneurs all too often make things that no one or very few people want to buy. In the next video, we're going to talk about facts versus hypotheses. We'll learn what these two words mean and why understanding the difference between the two is so important to our entrepreneurial journey. See you there. So, in this video, we talked about the fact that as an entrepreneur, failure is going to be a fact of life. The question is, what do you choose to do when you do fail? Do you quit? Or worse yet, keep moving forward, making bad decisions along the way? Or do you learn something from your failure and try something different? We learn that there's both what we call good failure and bad failure. And we define bad failure as not learning from your mistakes, where you wind up creating a product no one wants to buy. In part two, we're going to learn the difference between hypotheses and facts, and that understanding the difference between the two can make all the difference between good failure and bad failure.